Hello, everyone, and welcome to our live stream today. Thank you all so much for joining us from wherever you are in the world. It is 4 p.m. right now, live from Dubai right now. Thank you all so much for joining us in this Azure three-part series. Today, this is the last episode of the Fundamentals of Azure series, where we will be kind of talking all about Azure AI and machine learning. So that being said, let's get started. So as you all know, this event has a part of is part of our Microsoft Reactor Code of Conduct. So obviously we're all here to learn. So let's always be kind of welcoming, be respectful, be obviously understanding of each other's viewpoints. The chat box is open for you to kind of ask any questions you have or share any kind of opinions and such. So please feel free to ask any questions because I will make sure to answer them at the very end. And that being said, let's actually look at kind of if it's your first time here and you have not been here before, let me kind of briefly introduce you to myself. So, my name is Hadeel Shubair, and I am a regional cloud advocate and data analytics engineer at Microsoft Reactor Middle East and Africa. So, part of what we do as a regional cloud advocate is I love to kind of share my knowledge and my learnings about all things tech. So, my basically my preferred areas or my areas of expertise that I love to teach and I love to talk about and kind of teach you all about is it lies around the fields of data science, AI, machine learning, as well as data analytics. But I also always love to kind of always explore other new tech topics because obviously we have all these new technologies and all these new products and solutions that are coming up in technologies. So there's just like so much room to learn. So I always love to kind of learn, and so this is why we have these Azure series where I'm kind of teaching you my learnings as well as if you have any questions and such, please do share with me. I'm very passionate about sharing my knowledge and obviously all things tech, and always love to build communities. I'm based in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, and we always have these kind of in-person events and as well as kind of digital events online. So we're very blessed to kind of be living in a digital world where we have this online community where we can kind of obviously share everything and do all these live streams and kind of learn all about everything tech together online. And I'm also, fun fact is I am very passionate about empowering women in tech. And for a fun fact also, I am currently running a woman in Arabic speaking women in tech program that is running for 6 months as well. So if you are an Arabic speaking woman and you would love to be part of the program, it's not too late. Reach out to me and I'll make sure to let you join the program. So if you would like to kind of connect with me, here are my handles on screen for you. LinkedIn is Hadeel Shubair, just like my name, and my Twitter is @Shubair3. I would love to connect with as many of you. And that being said, let's look at our agenda. So what are we going to be learning today? So today, as I mentioned, today we're going to be talking all about Azure fundamentals for kind of Microsoft Azure AI, as well as exploring machine learning. So we're going to be talking kind of an overview of AI, the concept of AI, and then we're going to be looking at the different key elements and core workloads that's right along the name or the field of AI. Then we're going to be kind of talking about the use cases and applications that we see in our daily lives in AI as well as in business. And then lastly, we're going to be kind of exploring more in depth on the different services we have on Microsoft Azure AI as well, and the Azure AI platform. So that's what we have for today. And as I mentioned, please feel free to ask any questions in the chat box, and I'll make sure to answer them at the very end. So let's begin with kind of introducing what AI actually is. Now, every age obviously has its kind of scientific discoveries and inventions, but today's scientific advancements can actually impact globally in a very short time, and that such progress is actually made in the field of AI. So now today we live in a digital world. We have all these new technologies. We have the Internet of Things. We have the rise of ChatGPT. We have conversational AI. We have all these kind of new big terms such as big data and all those, like neural networks, all these kind of big terms that are actually really kind of in a way, affecting our lives, obviously, and making it more efficient. So now with the rise of all these new technologies, as with AI, we can actually focus now on building solutions that basically seemed impossible a while ago. So, like if you think back in the 1920s, it was impossible to have, let's say, like a obviously a smart assistant, or it was impossible. We did not have back then like Google Maps and so much more. So today, AI is actually enabling incredible advances in different areas and in different industries that you could really think of to make it a better world for absolutely everyone. Now, let's look at the terms of what artificial intelligence is and what machine learning is, just very briefly, to kind of get an idea of the definition, because it can sometimes be a bit confusing to some. Now, to put it into simple words, AI, in simple words, is basically the kind of combination of machines and computers that are able to think, learn, and behave, and basically do what human intelligence does. So basically, if you want to kind of think of it in another way, AI is basically mimicking human behavior. So what we as humans do, AI is actually doing it. So instead of kind of doing maybe, let's say, repetitive tasks and such like all over again, with the use of AI, now machines can actually operate from the data that we feed them, to actually learn from it and to actually do several tasks like humans do. So now machines are able to do, they're able to kind of recognize human faces, they're able to kind of use human language and speech, as well as drive cars such as Tesla, or even have the ability to kind of even recommend, your next, Netflix movie suggestion based on your historical data as well. All of this is because of obviously AI. And underneath the umbrella of AI, it kind of involves creating, the way it works is it has kind of algorithms, and these algorithms are like computations that are, behind the scenes happen to that help do all the kind of mathematical work for you. So AI involves creating algorithms to classify, analyze, and draw predictions from the data that we feed it. And it also involves, actually, obviously, since AI is all based on data, so it depends heavily on the data that you feed it. It involves on acting on the data, learning from the data, and giving you the output of the data by improving over time. So it goes through a several number of cycles as you train it until it actually learns from what you give it or what you feed it with the data. So this is just a kind of big overview on what AI actually is. Now, underneath kind of the umbrella of AI, we have a few key elements that fall underneath AI. And those are just as we see on the screen here. So the first one is to make decisions based on data and experience. So basically, AI is being used by, if you have historical data, you are able to make decisions, better decisions, or even predictions. So anything that you could really think of. So obviously, the Netflix movie recommendation suggestion is one of the examples that we can use for that. Um, the next one is detecting anomalies. So with anomaly detection, it's basically kind of the AI softwares or AI machines are able to detect any kind of unusual behavior or strange kind of patterns that are happening. So the best example for this is obviously credit card frauds. So you could see that a transaction has been taken away from you that you have not done, and this AI will be able to detect that this is an actually anomaly, and this is a problem. With AI as well, you are able to interpret visual inputs. So we have all these new cognitive services such as visualization and speech and text and all those and language that really kind of help, make it easier for the world to actually interpret visualization. Also, with AI, now you are able to kind of understand written and spoken languages. So machines are able to understand, such as Siri or Cortana or Alexa. Obviously they're kind of smart assistants in our homes. So any kind of personal assistant, smart assistants, and such, they obviously understand the written or spoken language. So you would kind of ask Siri to open the blinds for you, or kind of make your cup of coffee even. So it would kind of respond, and back verse like and vice versa because of AI. Lastly, also AI helps in engaging in dialogues and conversations as well. So obviously all of these come and fall under kind of key workloads. Let's explore these key workloads more. Now, as I mentioned, artificial intelligence is kind of like the big kind of term, and underneath the AI, you have kind of like categories or workloads that fall underneath the umbrella of AI. The first one is machine learning. You also have anomaly detection, computer vision, natural language processing, and conversational AI. Let's explore each one and know kind of the basic definition of each one in more detail. So when it comes to machine learning is actually the foundation of AI. It is the most important part of all the AI process. So AI heavily depends on machine learning algorithms to help do all the kind of work. And so you're basically kind of teaching the computer model to make predictions and draw conclusions from the data that you feed it. The next one is anomaly detection. As I mentioned, you're with anomaly detection, the software or it's the capability of softwares or machines to detect any kind of unusual or strange patterns. The next one we have is computer vision. This is actually a very kind of very important one, and it is commonly used in today's world, such as obviously Facebook uses computer vision, such as face app recognition of people, suggestions of people you might know, or even when you show it an image of like a few people or a few faces, it would be able to kind of identify who those people are through obviously visually through images, videos, cameras, and such. Next, we have the natural language processing. Just like its name, it focuses all about speech and text, so written and spoken language, and it also responds and vice versa. The last one we have is conversational AI, and this is basically the ability of the machines to actually process and understand and even respond to human language, just like human do. So these are kind of the terms or the key workloads you would like to keep in your mind as you go on and you learn all about AI. Now, let's kind of go back a bit to kind of where it started with programming a computer. Now, when it comes to programming a computer, in the traditional development kind of, the traditional development kind of involves data and rules. So you would basically have data, and this data could be such as images or maybe let's say videos or even audio files. And then you have rules. So let's say, for example, if you were to ask a computer to kind of, if you wanted to ask a computer to, figure out or identify if this picture is a cat or not. So you would basically, how it would go is you would give it an image of a cat, and basically you would kind of have a rule which specifies that a cat has, let's say, four legs, it has a head, it has a tail, and a cat could look like this. So you would show your machine or your computer several images of different cats and so much more. And this is when this traditional development, actually you do some development, and this is where you actually get some answers of images of actual cats. So this is when in the traditional development kind of concept. Now, when it comes to actually machine learning, this kind of actually shifts. So you have the rules and the answers are actually shifted. So with machine learning, instead of saying we have data, let's say we have hundreds and thousands of images of lots of animals. And let's say some images contain cats and some images contain dogs. And now this is where the actual machine learning process actually starts to kind of learn the patterns. So it starts to learn what differentiates cats from dogs, the different characteristics, the features, and so on. And it kind of comes up with the rules itself. And that's kind of on a high level, just to kind of understand how really it actually works with machine learning. Now, let's actually look at some use cases of AI. And before we actually do that, I would like to actually kind of ask a question to the audience that we have here. So, here's a question for you. So, how do you think you encounter AI in your daily life? So, have a moment, just have like 5 seconds just to think how AI is involved in your daily life, because you might not really realize it, but AI is actually being involved in mostly every single part of our life, or maybe in even every kind of step we take. So have a moment to think, how do you think you encounter AI in your daily life? And please share with me your answers in the chat box. So if you have an answer or two, share with me the answers in the chat box. I would love to read them at the very end. So when it comes to kind of use cases, obviously, as I mentioned, AI is this kind of huge technology, and it is being used in every single sector, in every single area, or every single field that you could think of. So, be it education, healthcare, in finance, in banking, in e commerce, wherever you name it. You could say transportation, in logistics, in retail, and so much more. So AI is actually applied in every single field to actually help, all these businesses, all these fields to make better decisions and be able to make better predictions. Now, some of the most common use cases of AI in our daily lives are could include search engines. Obviously, we all use search engines like Bing and such to kind of, obviously search up, the questions that we have. Obviously, we have Netflix movie recommendations. These are obviously based on AI. We also have smart assistants like Siri and Alexa as well, and Cortana, that help you kind of, that help do the work for you, whatever task you ask them to do. So you would ask Siri, put on this song for me, and it would kind of use natural language processing to do that for you because it is AI generated. Another use case is chatbots. Another use case as well is obviously spam detection on obviously spam filters and on Microsoft Outlook, for example, on our emails, face recognition on Facebook, and so much more. So really, if you think of it, there is plenty of use cases and plenty of examples that we actually use and go through on a daily basis. Now let's look at some kind of more in-depth use cases in two specific fields. So we're going to be looking at use cases of AI by industry in healthcare. So how does healthcare actually use AI? Now, AI is being used in healthcare to help, in several ways. AI can help actually do kind of personalized patient care for every single patient to access them with the health data. So once they want the help, they can get it at the right time. Also, AI can help, enable knowledge mining as well, and help extract actionable data and examine health insights of patients at scale. And also, AI can help, healthcare industries be able to kind of also improve scientifically with their care delivery, with their medicines and drugs, discoveries, and so much more. So really, there are several use cases that you really could think of when it comes to each and every industry. Now, when it comes to financial services industry, how is AI being applied there? So with AI and machine learning models are actually used to obviously detect any kind of unusual patterns or anomalies. So anything that really could kind of be of suspicious behavior within financial systems, AI could be used to actually detect that. Also, you can actually understand your customers on a better scale and also help, with their user experience by actually using AI. And one more is you can also obviously modernize core banking by using AI and natural language processing and using AI to even fuel kind of faster and optimize and more secure operations for your business. So these are just some kind of quick examples for you just to get a clear idea of how AI is being incorporated. Now, let's actually move on to kind of the main part of this talk, and that is the Azure AI platform. Now, when it comes to Azure AI is basically, just to kind of sum it up for you, is Azure AI is kind of a platform that allows you to enhance your project in many ways for better application creation, data analytics, or even machine learning capabilities. There are many ways actually for Azure AI to kind of help enhance your work and kind of help you, build your models and even customize. There are many options to customize that you can customize to tailor depending on the needs that you are looking or the services that you are looking to use. Let's actually explore Azure AI a bit more. So Azure AI is basically, as we mentioned, we all know the Azure platform is the Microsoft's public cloud platform, which has plenty of services and solutions that can help you scale, your needs today. So depending on what your need is, be it analytics, storage, networking, or anything that you really could think of from kind of any compute services, you will find it on the Azure AI platform. Now, AI obviously it kind of helps us enable and build great and amazing software that can help do many tasks, such as we mentioned, it could kind of help with making decisions in healthcare. It would help enable people to kind of overcome physical disadvantages as well. AI has the power. It has the power to empower smart infrastructure to make any better predictions in the future, forecasting, and so much more. So this is what the Azure AI platform is all about. It's basically all about providing easy to use services that will help you kind of get started. When it comes to Azure Machine Learning, now Azure Machine Learning is basically, in simple terms, it's the platform that helps operate machine learning workloads in the cloud. Now, as you can see here in the figure in front of me, so you have the Microsoft Azure platform and then you have Azure Machine Learning. And under Azure Machine Learning, you have kind of different services that, built on the cloud platform. Azure Machine Learning will enable you to manage the following services. So it will enable you to manage anything all about compute, data storage. You have machine learning workflow orchestration, such as also, once you have your models, you can register them on the platform and you even manage them and track them. Metrics and monitoring, you can monitor your work that you have been doing for your machine learning workflow. And lastly, you are able to deploy your model on the platform as well. So when it comes to Microsoft Azure Machine Learning, it's basically an excellent kind of tool to develop basically end-to-end data science analytics solution from data exploration to even model deployment. Now, you might ask, okay, Hadeel, what are the solutions available within Azure that can actually help me create the AI solutions I'm looking for? And the key services in Azure include Azure Machine Learning, Cognitive Services, and Azure Bot Service. Let's explore each one separately. When it comes to Azure Machine Learning, it is just like its name. So it's all about, it's everything that has to do with machine learning models. So from training them, deploying them, and managing them as well. When it comes to cognitive services is basically a kind of a platform that you have or a service in Azure that has, this is where developers and data scientists actually use it to build AI solutions. Now, what do we mean by cognitive services? So with cognitive services, you have speech, vision, language, and text. You have all these kind of services that really help you depending on your goal to build your next AI solution. And then lastly, you have the Azure Bot Service, and this is basically the platform that helps manage and develop bots or robots. So, if you would like to actually start exploring and get started with using a free Azure account, or by if you want to start exploring your Azure platform, you can get started with using an Azure free account. So, obviously, if you use the link that I have for you here, aka.ms/Azure series Azure sign up, I'll also have it in the chat box for you to check it out. So you can get, this is the link where you can actually get started with using a free account on Azure. So you would start for free, you would get $200 credit to use within 30 days. And while you have this credit, you will have access to more than 55 plus services and the most popular services that are always free. After your credit is done or after your 30 days are done, you kind of move on a pay as you go model to keep building with the same free services. So you basically only pay for the services that you actually use. After you're done with 12 months, you will still only pay for basically what you use beyond your free monthly accounts. So I'd highly encourage you to kind of get started, create and set up your own Azure free account to actually start exploring the Azure platform and all the different services that you have available. This is the actual standard free account link. However, if you are a student, you can also get started in the same way with an Azure Student account. So this is where you can use your school account or email, or you can use your university email as well or account to actually log in and access the free Azure portal as well. And the link for this one is aka.ms/Azure Series Students, which will also be posted in the chat box for you. So if you're a student, use this link. If you're not a student, use the link I just talked about before and check it out. It's good to kind of have high level to check it out. Now, if you want to get an idea of the different services that you have on Azure, so obviously this is the third episode of the three-part series. So we've already explored compute and networking services and storage services and such. So you want to look at maybe, let's say, the pricing of each one. This is where we actually go to the pricing calculator. With the pricing calculator, you can calculate your estimated hourly and monthly cost for using Azure. So depending on the different Azure service, this will kind of help you, understand the price of each service. So you can either scan the QR code here with your phone, with your tablet, with whatever device you have for you. It will directly take you to the link of the pricing calculator where you can actually explore that page and see the price of each service. Or you can use the link that I have on here for you on screen, and it will be posted in the chat box, which is aka.ms/Azure Price Calc. That being said, let's move on. Now we will kind of move on to kind of understanding machine learning. And so the first question I would like to ask you, and I would like to actually have everyone to think about, is have you ever thought of how machines actually learn? So we always hear the terms artificial intelligence, machine learning, data science, data analytics, but how do machines actually learn? And the simple answer is machines actually learn from data. So in today's world, we as humans create huge volumes, amounts of data as we go about on our daily lives. So this data can be generated from text messages, from social media clicks, from videos, images, audios, photos, and so much more, and even social media posts, and so much more. And more data is still being created by millions of people, or by millions of people, and even by sensors in our homes, even by cars as well. We also have by the public transportation, by the different cities, factories, and infrastructures, and so much more. So all of this huge amount of data is actually being taken, and this is how machines learn from it. So data scientists can actually use all that data to help train machine learning models that can make predictions and conclusions also based on the relationships that they find in the data. So you have your data set, and you obviously have the machine learning algorithms. You take these together, and this is where you kind of create what a machine learning kind of process could actually look like. So a typical machine learning process could actually look like this, just kind of to give you an idea of how it actually works. Now, when it comes to machine learning or with any kind of data science project, this is how it usually looks like. You will have any kind of historical data, or you will input some past data. Once you input this past data, this data will be going through kind of a training process, and it will go through a machine learning algorithm. And this machine learning algorithm that you choose, depending on what your goal is, it will actually start by learning from the data. Based on that, this machine learning algorithm will start learning from the data, and then once it learns from the data, it will be able to build the models that we have. After it builds the model that you will kind of start by adding more new data that you have not added before, so you can actually test it out, and based on that, it will give you the output of your model. So this is how a typical workflow or machine learning process could look like. So you have the data, you will collect the data, you will start by actually processing the data, and it will go through, you will select the machine learning algorithm, it will be trained, and then after that, after you train your model, you will be able to build the model, and then you start by testing it, by adding new data to it, and based on that, it will give you the result or the output that you have. Now let's look at on Azure, machine learning. Azure provides the Azure Machine Learning Service, which obviously, as I mentioned, it's kind of the platform. It's like your heaven for publishing machine learning models. So anything that you need from, machine learning models and such, this is where you can actually look for. So on the Azure Machine Learning Service, you will have several features and capabilities as well for each feature. So depending on the feature that you want, so let's say you want to use the machine learning designer. And what the machine learning designer is, Azure Machine Learning Designer, is basically it uses no code development of machine learning solutions. So if you want to use this feature, this is the capability for it. So it kind of explains to you, if you want to use compute resources, you can use data and compute management. When it comes to pipelines, this is used for data scientists usually use pipelines for, model training, deployment of the models as well, and management tasks. So depending on really your goal or your feature, you have the capability for that. And Azure Machine Learning, actually, the platform, it kind of provides it all for you. Now let's move on to anomaly detection. As I mentioned, with anomaly detection, you are basically detecting any unusual behavior. So for example, let's take a simple example here. Imagine the scenario of a racing car telemetry system that basically uses sensors to warn engineers about any potential mechanical failures that could happen for the racing cars before they happen. This is called anomaly detection. Or let's say, for example, you have an application that would track kind of activity in an automated production line and identifies any kind of errors or failures that happen. This is all used by anomaly detection, which is a machine learning based technique that analyzes data over time, and it also identifies unusual changes. So when it comes to detecting unusual usage patterns and such, or indicating fraud, this is where anomaly detection is actually used. Now let's look at the car telemetry racing kind of example that we just looked at. How would it actually look like? How would the process actually look like? So in a real example, the sensors, you would start by collecting the data, right? You need to gather the data, and this data is going to be gathered. The sensors will be gathered by collecting, the car features such as telemetry. You have the engine revolutions, the temperature of the brakes, and much more. Then, once you collect this data you have, the model will be trained. So we will train an anomaly detection model to help us understand if there are any expected fluctuations that could happen in the measurements over time, or that could happen later on. So now, during the training process, if a measurement actually occurs outside the normally expected range, this is where the model is expected to report an anomaly. So then, this actually will immediately kind of warn the engineers that there's a problem and that they need to kind of fix it before the race actually starts. So this is how it would actually kind of work in the racing car scenario. So in Azure, you have an anomaly detector service that helps you provide an API or application programming interface that basically developers can use to help create anomaly detection solutions. So if you want to if you want to foresee problems before they occur, you can do that with the Azure AI anomaly detection service. You can I also try anomaly detector for free or create a pay-as-you-go account, and you can also scan the link that I have for you here, or copy the link that I have on the screen, which is aka.ms/anomaly detection. And this is basically going to take you immediately to the page of the anomaly detection service, so you can explore it at your own pace and kind of see the different services and different features it has on the page. Let's move on to the second key workload, which is computer vision. And with computer vision, it's all about visual processing. Now, under computer vision, we have several tasks that we always hear about under computer vision. So let's look at each one separately. Now, the first most common one is image classification. So look at the picture that you have in front of you here. It's a picture of a taxi. So basically, the model or the computer will actually identify or classify what exactly is in the image and give you the context. So obviously here, the computer or the model obviously told us that this is a picture of a taxi. Next, we have object detection, and this is basically specifying or detecting several objects you have in an image. So this is where the ability of the computer is able to detect several objects. So as we can see in the example that we have on screen, you have the bus, you have a car, and you have a cyclist, and you can have also a tree, also a traffic light, and so much more. Next, we have semantic segmentation. Semantic segmentation is somewhat similar to object detection. However, it's kind of specifies exactly what separately exactly what each object is. So it will identify in kind of groups. So let's say in different colors. So it identifies the bus in red, the car in blue, and the cyclists in green. So this is what semantic segmentation is all about. In computer vision, also, we have image analysis, and this is kind of the most basic one. So basically, this is the ability of a computer to actually analyze the image that you give it. So based on the image that it sees, it will be able to kind of tell you what's happening exactly, or give you kind of a brief description on what it can see. So here you can see with image analysis, it says in that picture, you have a person with a dog on a street. Next, we have face detection, analysis, and recognition. And this is where, obviously, face detection is used to identify similar faces, analyze them, and even recognize them. As we know, Facebook is commonly used for this one. It identifies the faces of several people and suggestions that you might know for who they could be. Last but not least, the last computer vision task that you could find is optical character recognition, or OCR. And optical character recognition actually depends on it's kind of visions, kind of more at images and such that have bigger text. So anything that has text. So optical character recognition will recognize any optical characters or text, as I mentioned. So here it kind of specifies that this is a Toronto Dominion Bank. So if you're going to, let's say, Dubai Mall, it will actually tell you this is Dubai Mall. So it will take the text and recognize the characters based on that. So these are different computer vision tasks that you can find or that fall under computer vision. So if you want to build an AI solution and you want to use computer vision, you can find the computer vision services on Azure to help you create your computer vision solutions. So depending on the different service that you are looking for, do you want to detect do you want to build face detection, do you want to use computer vision to analyze images and videos to extract descriptions, then you would use this. So you have computer vision, custom vision, face, and form recognizer as several services that you could use under the computer vision services in the Microsoft Azure platform. So highly check them out as well. And depending obviously on what you want, you will find the service that you are looking for. Next, let's move on to natural language processing. Now, with natural language processing, as I mentioned, it's everything that has to do, it's the software that has to do with kind of analyzing and interpreting speech and text, so written and spoken language. So anything that has to do text in documents, emails, messages, spoken language, speech responses, translation, as well as kind of interpreting commands and determining appropriate actions. This all falls underneath the natural language processing or NLP kind of area. With natural language processing, you also have that service in Azure. So if you are looking to build natural language processing solutions, depending as well on the service that you're looking for or your goal, you will find several capabilities for each one. So let's say you want to translate text using the translator service on natural language processing. This service actually helps you translate text between more than 60 languages. And then also, if you want to use the speech, the speech service will help you recognize and synthesize speech and also help you translate spoken languages as well, and so on. Let's look at the Azure Machine Learning Lifecycle. Now, once it comes to an end-to-end machine learning lifecycle, let's look at how it actually kind of could look like on the platform. The first thing in any machine learning lifecycle is actually to begin by preparing your data. So what do you mean by preparing our data? With preparing our data, you start by actually labeling your data. So you would label your training data and you will manage your labeling projects. Then you will start by actually preparing the data that you have in hand. So this is where you actually start by preparing. We mean like looking at the data at a high level using exploratory data analytics and preparation techniques that help you explore your data that you have and making sure it's ready and such. Then you also have, once underneath the umbrella of data preparation, you also have the access to the data sets and also sharing the data sets you have. So after we move on so we've gone through the process of preparing data, what's the next step? The next step, after you have your data in hand, it's ready, it's clean, is to actually start by building and training your models. And to do that, you will use, obviously, notebooks. So you can use Jupyter notebooks on the platform to help with the compute and to help you write all your code. Also, after that, you can also use automated machine learning, which is a kind of a service that's used to train and tune accurate models automatically. You can also find and design the drag and drop development interface that you can find also on the machine learning platform. And you can also run experiments as well and create and share them through custom dashboards as well. And this is all done underneath the build and train models in the machine learning lifecycle. So after we prepared our data, we built and trained our models, the next one is to kind of validate what we have found and deploy as well. So you would deploy your models in kind of batches and real-time inferences quickly and easily through managed endpoints. And then you can also be able to use pipelines to help you automate the machine learning workflows that you have. And then you would also be able to kind of access the images with frameworks and libraries for inference through pre-built images. And you could also look at the repository of the model, so such as like tracking and sharing models and data as well. So this takes us to the last step, which is finally managing or monitoring and analyzing your final product. So this is where you actually look at the model that you've built, and this is where you actually start by monitoring the performance of it and tracking it, and looking at the different accuracy, as well as optimizing it with different models and tracing machine learning kind of artifacts for compliance as well. So this actually is kind of how the end-to-end machine learning lifecycle could actually look like on the Azure AI platform. When it comes to Azure machine learning, so the way it could happen in, let's say, on the platform is it could be kind of summarized in three steps. Now, as I mentioned, in Azure machine learning, it's kind of an excellent tool to help you kind of develop end-to-end data science analytic solutions, from data exploration to even the model deployment. So if you want to store your compute targets, if you want to author new models, if you have deployments, metrics, and you want to run histories on the cloud, you would start by beginning to go to your studio web experience on the Azure platform. So as you can see here, this is kind of the homepage of how the Azure portal looks like. You have the home, and then you have the different kind of sections of each of the assets and the management tools and all those stuff. So you can actually, by obviously creating your free account, you can actually access the portal for free and try the different free services you have. So you would go to your studio web experience and kind of look at the different services that you have. Next, you would kind of, build and train your models, as I mentioned, in the cloud. And this for this, you can actually use automated machine learning, which will help you kind of use minimum effort and machine and maximum machine learning expertise. So instead of building the model by yourself from A to Z, automated machine learning can actually do this for you and even track your models for you in the cloud. And also, it has obviously the accessibility of using the notebooks, such as Jupyter notebooks, and the drag and drop designer as well for each of your runs. Lastly, but not least, is the deploy and management kind of part. This is where you actually take your machine learning model and you actually deploy it on the edge, or even monitor the performance of your model, how it's actually working and acting, and even kind of retrain it as needed. So we'd actually look at the results of how your model is performing, and based on that, you would run it through several rounds. And this is also happening on the platform. So these are kind of the basic steps just to take you through. Obviously, this is a kind of fundamentals kind of course. This is just to kind of give you a high level overview on how really it actually looks like for, if you want to build your first AI solution, you're looking for solutions for computer vision or for natural language processing or for face detection, for whatever really it is, you can find it on the Azure AI or the machine learning platform. Now, let's actually take you to one of my favorite machine learning algorithm cheat sheets. So, obviously, when it comes to building your models, you need to know, what machine learning algorithm to choose. There are thousands and hundreds of machine learning algorithms there are out there. But how do you actually choose which one you need? To do that, I have this machine learning algorithm cheat sheet for you, which I will also post the link in the chat box as well for you to access at your own pace. And basically, this algorithm cheat sheet is basically helps serve as a guide to help you choose the best algorithm for your predictive analytics solution. So your decision is basically driven by both the nature of your data and the goal you want to achieve with your data. So depending on your needs and what you want to do, do you want to predict some values? Then you will use regression algorithms, and underneath the regression algorithms, you have linear regression, multilinear regression, neural network regression, and so much more. Do you want to classify images? So for image classification, you would use the dense net classifier, and so much more. So really, depending on what your goal is, you can actually, specify what machine learning algorithm is actually suitable for you. Also, you can access this machine learning cheat sheet on aka.ms/ml cheat sheet. Definitely check this one out. Have it as a guide for you once you begin, your machine learning journey or your AI journey. And, if you want to kind of explore Azure AI once you set your free account, this will be an amazing guide for you to help you kind of understand the differences between each of the algorithms that we have. That being said, this is the QR code for the machine learning algorithm cheat sheet here as well. I have posted it in the chat box, and the link is aka.ms/ml cheat sheet. So that being said, we are actually done for today on the Azure AI and Machine Learning Fundamentals kind of course. So, with this kind of stream, I would highly recommend for you to actually continue your learning journey. So, if you want to continue your learning journey, you want to learn more about the different Azure AI services in more depth. Obviously, we have the Azure platform is actually full of amazing different products and tools and services that can help with your solution. So, to continue learning, I would highly recommend you to check out this Azure Cloud Skills Challenge. So scan the QR code right now or use the aka.ms/Azure Series CSC link that I have on screen for you and will be posted in the chat as well. So for this is actually, if you scan the code, you'll see it will take you through the Azure Cloud Skills Challenge. And what this is, it's an active challenge which has multiple learning resources that I personally have put for you to help you kind of, continue your learning journey in Azure. So to learn all about Azure Compute, Azure Networking, Azure, the different Azure services, everything that goes from Azure AI and machine learning, all these learning platforms or learning kind of paths are there for you. So I would highly recommend for you to check this out because this is also a great way to help you get started with the AZ 900 fundamental certification. So if you're looking to start with that certification, this is a great way to help you get started. So as I mentioned, we have already lots of participants who have already participated in that Azure Cloud Skills Challenge. So if you have not participated yet, please do so. And how it works is you would kind of take each model one by one and finish it. And as soon as you're done, it would kind of show me who's on the leaderboard. So hurry up and get your mark. This is an absolutely great resource, free resource for you to learn at your own pace with all the different kind of Azure learning paths that would be great for you to help you get started on your Azure journey. That being said, we are actually done for today. Here I have just a screenshot of all the different links that we've talked about and that we've kind of went through today. There are also as well all in the chat as well. So we are done for today. Thank you all so much for joining us. And if you would like to know where my next session is, so my next session is going to be on the April 10th at 3 p.m. GST, 3 p.m. Dubai time. It will be a live stream event online, and it will be all about machine learning for evolving applications, where we'll be exploring the basics of machine learning for evolving applications. So everything that goes on behind the scenes in depth for machine learning, it will be, this is where we will kind of take you through the fundamental concepts and explore the machine learning in more depth. So it's actually a new series that I'm starting. So stay tuned for it. Don't miss out. It's going to be lots of kind of, lots of great, very valuable information for you to use. So if you're interested, stay tuned. April 10th at 3 p.m. GST Dubai time. That being said, we are done for today. Thank you all so much for joining us. And I am very happy to kind of take you through these Azure three-part series. And that being said, I'm going to go to the chat box just to see quickly if you have any questions, and then we will wrap up from there. And thank you all so much again. And I will see you again very soon. So I have been just seeing that we have obviously lots of great answers from the question that I've asked on several use cases and applications of AI being used in our daily life. And I love all these answers coming in. Thank you all so much for sharing. And I really hope, all of you have learned a thing or two today. I look forward to actually, actually seeing you in the next live stream as well. So that being said, thank you all so much for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Goodbye, everyone, and take care.